So, hi everyone. So I'm Danielle Groth, and this is
I'm Vicky Lovell, and we did a joint session yesterday with prayer and reflection. Today is Danielle's turn for stress management. So I just wanted to say hi, but I'm going to scoot out of the way and let Danielle take
leave it all up to me. Yeah. So I am a mindfulness practitioner, and I specialize in. Maybe I should wait a second here, as I'm seeing some other people kind of join in.
I was late, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just thinking, I don't know if there's anybody else kind of coming in the waiting room, or Mike, should I go or should I wait a second?
If you want to wait like a minute or two, that's totally fine. Otherwise, I think people will that will kind of be the theme, instead people will come in when they have availability. I think we're good from the main room, but yeah, if you want to wait a minute or you want to start, like at least with the intro.
Let's get started. It's good. So as I said, I'm a mindfulness practitioner, and I specialize in meditation and Reiki, vibrational sound therapy, and then this technique called EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, or very simply, it's tapping. And I have my own business. It's called I Am Well, and I started this back in, I started it in 2017 because in 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer because I too struggle with self-care, and I wasn't taking very good care of myself. And in the end, I ended up having to take a lot of extra special care of myself. And I knew of these techniques, and I had used some of them. My son is autistic and has a kidney disease, has hearing issues, vision issues. So I spent a lot of time in doctor's offices and waiting rooms, waiting for a lot of test results, dealing with a lot of stress and things. And so a lot of these techniques were things that I was using that helped me. But then in the end, when I really needed to use them and I found them to be so helpful for myself, I decided to be trained in all of these and be able to go out and help other people. And so that's what I do now. So through this, or with Vicky and I, with our Angel Whispers ministry, that we go around and we just help people however we can to deal with their stress. And so today I want to give you some actual real techniques that you won't need any tools other than your own body and the things that you have. And so when you are in the middle of a crisis, you will be ready to go, or if you're just dealing with something stressful. I'm also going to teach you things of how to try to not get into that stress and that overwhelm. So that's kind of the plan for today. So I want to share my screen here. I put together this little slideshow so that you can follow along and see what's going on here. So if everybody can see that, and see, I need to move maybe this over to here. All right, so what we are going to talk about today is the important things. There's two important things about your mind that I know a lot of you have to understand science in order to understand what your kids are dealing with. And so there is a ton of science behind this, and that's what I want to share with you. We're going to do a little bit of breath work because you always have your breath with you, and that's one of the easiest things and the fastest things you can do to help to calm yourself down. And then we are going to get into tapping. I'll talk to you a little bit about what it is, teach you the technique, and then we're actually going to do it. We're going to tap on stuff today. So you will leave here today knowing how to do these steps for yourself. And if you have questions along the way, it's helpful too, for those of you who have your screens off, if you could actually turn your cameras on if you feel comfortable doing so. This is one of those things that it helps to actually be able to see the person and to be able to communicate. So as we're doing some of these things, because I'm going to have some exercises that I'll need you to do. So whenever you feel comfortable turning yours on, that would be great. So the most important collaboration is going to be between you and your mind. You are more powerful than you realize, and your thoughts and your words are extremely powerful. And so this is where we need to start with these two bits of understanding that when you collaborate with your mind, everything can fall into place. That your mind does what it really thinks you want it to do. It's always acting in its own self-interest, and it listens to you. It listens to your words all the time. It figures out your world by what you're doing. It figures out your feelings by the words that you're using. It is hardwired to move you towards pleasure and away from pain. That's how you survive on this planet. That's why you know not to put your hands onto a hot stove. That's why red becomes this color for you that you know is danger. These things start to settle into your mind and become part of your programming. And that the way you feel about things really comes down to those two things, the pictures that you make in your head and the words that you tell yourself. So that's where we're going to start, is with those two things for you to understand how it is that your brain works, so that you can understand how tapping and EFT work. So collaborating with your mind, it's the most important thing. And because your mind is hardwired to move towards pleasure and away from pain, if you're saying things like, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm never going to get through today, you're honestly telling your mind that you can't do it. You're telling your body, you're giving it permission not to do those things. So that's why when you maybe have a big presentation or something to do, and then you wake up with a sore throat or a headache, and you're like, oh, this is not the time for it. Well, kind of is, because you were worried, you were stressed about it, and you gave your body permission to do it. It's trying to protect you. It's like, hey, I'll give you this really bad migraine so you don't have to go and do this thing that you don't want to do. So it's important for you to think about how it is that you can change your words and the pictures that you create for yourself. So you choose every day between what is pleasure and what is pain. And sometimes we don't realize that. We get so caught up in things of what we're doing. And so it's learning to change your phrases to, I've got this, or I've chosen this, or I like it. And sometimes even if you don't, you fake it till you make it, and you have to tell yourself that you do. And your body will start to respond in a better way. And then you'll actually start believing that, oh, maybe I can do that. So when you, I'm trying to think how to put this, when this isn't about positive thinking, right? Because that's what I know a lot of people get irritated by is, let's look at the silver lining of something, or, just think good thoughts and that's what will happen. But that's not what it is. This is actually an overriding of your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is so strong. Only 5% of what you do is from your conscious mind. The other 95% are the programs that are running in the back of your head. So if you think about even like with your phone and your battery is draining down, and then you go and you look and you realize in the background, I left Maps open, which is a huge, battery suck, or I've left Spotify on or something. And there's all these things running and you have to close them all out. That's a lot of how your brain and your mind work. You have these apps running, these programs running in the back of your mind that really affect how you respond and react to things. So when you think about how your brain responds, this is a good time for us to demonstrate something. So for those of you who are there, you can all stand up for just a second. I'm probably going to cut my head off now. I'm going to stand up. So we can go back up. Yeah, let me use the camera. Let's see if I can. There we go. So just to prove this point of what you can do is if you stand up, and now I just want you to bend down and touch your toes and then come back up. It's not too stressful to do. So now you have that mental note when you pop back up of how far you're able to bend down. And now what I want you to do is not actually bend down, but make sure you're standing in a solid spot. And close your eyes and visualize yourself going down further. Visualize yourself bending in half, your nose pressing against your knees. You're like elastic and you just can fold right in half. And tell yourself, I can bend so far. I'm so flexible. I can touch my nose to my knees. I can do this. Put that thought in your head, visualize it, get a really descriptive picture of yourself doing it. And now open your eyes. And now bend down again and touch back down your toes and see how much further down you go. Come back up. Are you able to go further? Yeah. So how many of you went further? You guys went further, right? You did. So you can sit back down. And why is that? It's because you told yourself, right? You created a visual picture and you use the words to tell yourself. So if your mind believes what you tell it better things, right? Because first you make your beliefs and then your beliefs make you. So I look at this now as my superpower, that I have this ability to really create my own reality by telling myself and my body certain things, or protecting it by not doing the certain things. So if this is the case and you are spiraling down and you're having a really bad, tough moment or day, then that's when you can kind of change what your thought process is. And just pause for a moment, and you realize that you have two choices in one of those moments. That you can either rationalize it and talk bad to yourself and picture all of these bad things, like I can't cope with this anymore, I can't sleep, I just can't do this. And you visualize all the bad things that could happen down the road. Or you can take a moment and you can remind yourself that this is temporary, that this too shall pass, that I can do this, I'll eventually get to sleep. And what's beautiful and how this helps your child and it helps your whole family is that when you start to believe it and you start to change, your energy changes. And when your energy changes, you put out a whole different energy. And other people start to believe what you're believing. And so if you're worried about what's going to happen with your child and you start believing better things about it, your child's going to think that it's possible, that maybe the test that they have to get isn't going to be so scary because you're believing that it's not so scary, or that something better is going to be around the corner. And then your doctors and your nurses will also start to feel that way too because you're putting out this positive energy. So it's really important that you realize just what a superpower it is that you have, that you can change and affect the whole room that you're in by these beliefs that you create for yourself. So now that you have this understanding about it and how you can collaborate with your mind, we're going to get a little bit more into the breath work and the EFT. So your breath mirrors what it is that your body is feeling. And I know that a lot of this stuff, you've heard of before, you've maybe even tried it, but it's a practice. It's something you need to remember that you can go back to. Your breath is always with you. And breathing is scientifically shown to reduce anxiety and stress. It improves your mental concentration, so it can help you to make better decisions and choices. And it boosts your own immune system so that you can remain healthy, so that you can be there for your family and give how you want to, because we know that that's what everybody is. It's always about putting everybody else first. But if you pause for a moment and put your breath first, remembering that you have to breathe. The same thing is done on a plane, right? Put your mask on before you help somebody else. This is the same thing in life. This is the same thing in a crisis situation. Put your own mask on, catch your own breath first before you can go and help somebody else out. So to do that, we're going to do a simple breathing technique. It's called an anchor breath. There's a ton of different breathing techniques that you can do. This one I find is one of the simplest. And again, this is one that you can teach your child to do with you, or anybody else that you're in the crisis moment with, or just in that stressful moment. So knowing that oftentimes people, when they take a breath, when you tell them to take a deep breath in, a lot of people will raise their shoulders up. That's really not taking a deep breath in, that's raising your shoulders up. So if you really want to take a deep breath in, there's layers to it. So what I want to ask you to do is to raise up your non-dominant hand and place that on your belly. Take your dominant hand and place that over on your heart. And just feel your own breath for a minute. And sometimes closing your eyes can help with that. And just breathe normally. And get in touch with what your own normal breath feels like. Is it shallow? Is it deep? Just so you become in relationship with that. And then I want you to take in a really nice deep breath. Take it in through your nose and fill up your belly first. And then feel it come up into your lungs. And then there's a moment where it's full. And then let it go. It's really helpful too if you even make it an audible breath to remind yourself to make that release. And so when you do this anchor breathing, it's remembering that sometimes you feel, right, like you've just been thrown into this messy ocean and these waves are crashing over you and everything feels so turbulent. But knowing that under the water and under all of that, it's really calm. And so creating this visual in your head of you throwing an anchor into the ground, and that's where your support is going to come from, in that calmness at the bottom. And you anchor into that breath. And so with your hand on those two spaces then, it's called, the next step to this is called box breathing. Some people call it diamond breathing. And there's the four corners. So there's the taking in the deep breath. That's filling yourself up. And then the next one is being full and holding it for a moment, and then releasing it is the third, and then feeling that emptiness is the fourth. And a lot of times it's helpful if you count. Usually people average about a 4 to a 6 count, and that counting will take your mind off of whatever is currently happening in your crisis situation and allow you to stay focused in on that breath, to remind you to finish breathing. So we'll practice for a moment. So with your hand on your belly and your chest, just take in 4 deep breaths in through your nose. Hold it for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and release and let go for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let it be empty. But just do that on your own for a few, just to get used to your own breath. Breathing in, holding, releasing, and holding that for a moment, and then filling back up again. And each time reminding your hands, supporting your belly, that you're breathing there. And then the other hand on your heart, your dominant hand on your heart, that's you supporting yourself. It's you just showing yourself a moment of love and compassion, having your own back, that you've got this in this moment. And hopefully even just now in this few moments, you can just feel a little bit calmer. When you're ready, you can bring your awareness back. And you know, one of the other visuals I like for this to use is a snow globe. And sometimes that's the thought process of the visual I'll bring in my mind, is like somebody just really shook my world and everything is just coming down on me and I can't see through anything. And so when my eyes are closed and I'm doing my breath, I'm just counting or watching all those little snow pieces fall to the bottom, and now I can see clear, I can see through that water, I can see whatever the image is that's in that snow globe. I try to create a happy image in there for myself so that I can see that. And again, it's putting those pictures and those words together for me that help to really bring everything down and to calm me down. So with that said, then sometimes you're like, yeah, Danielle, I can breathe, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is too hard. This is too scary. You know what? I just want to scream. I want to curl up in a ball. I don't want to be bothered by anybody. Your breath work, yeah, I like the idea of it, but I ain't doing that. That's fine. You don't have to. I got something else. I always got something in my pocket to help people with their stress. So this technique, EFT, is something that there's so much science behind it, and it is one of the most recognized new therapies there is in what's called energy psychology. And it gets you out of that fight, flight, or freeze mode. And this is where a lot of us get stuck, and where we ruminate over things and all of the what ifs and what could be's, and this is where it really starts to get hard. And we create these super highways in our brain that say, all right, this has happened before and I remember it, and so now this is what's going to happen. You're like, I already know how bad this is going to be. And so you're stressed before the event even happened. So how do you get out of that? What do we do about that? And this is what we do about it. It's called EFT, or tapping. So it's based off of a holistic version of acupuncture and acupressure. It actually works on the same points, only yay, no needles. So again, you don't need to do anything fancy. And the idea of modern psychology. It will resolve stress, anxiety, phobias, emotional disorders. If you're in chronic pain or your child is in chronic pain, it can help reduce those pain levels. It can help with addictions. It can help with basically, if you can think about it and you feel it, you can tap on it. It will calm your nervous system. It's rewiring the brain. This is not positive thinking. Actually, you're gonna love this because I give you the permission to swear and curse and scream and say all the crap you're thinking about. You now have permission to do it. We are not bringing unicorns and fluffy little pretty things into all of this. We're gonna get to the truth, to the ugliness of what's causing all of your stress, while at the same time reminding your brain that you are safe, you are not in immediate danger, you are not being attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, because that's what our fight, flight, or freeze part of our brain used to think. I mean, that used to be the problem, but that's not our problem. But we are stuck in this chronic stress. We are stuck with this cortisol levels of ours so high because we think we are always under attack. So I'll explain to you in a minute how you do this, but I also want you to know too that there's been, in the past probably 10 years, this started back in the 1970s, is where this, and for those of you again who want to understand a little bit more about this, there's a ton of information online. I didn't want to get too deep into it because I actually want to do it with you. So if you want, at the end of this, I have slides, but it's, there's EFTuniverse.org, all one word, EFT Universe. And then there's also the tappingsolutions.com. That's another one. Those are two qualified teachers that will show what this is like. There are people who do it. There's different ways of doing it. Those are two that I find to be the most helpful. Clinical EFT. It's one of the 10 most top studied techniques and therapies right now out of over 400 therapies, and 99% of the studies have shown efficacy in this working and being helpful. So this is really a wonderful solution. So what I'm going to do is show you what the 9 main points are that we'll tap on. And then I'm going to show you how to do a setup statement. And then together as a group, we're going to pick on a topic that we think is most helpful right now, where we are today, that we can work on. I have a few set up, but we can see what everybody needs in this moment. So what we do when you start with the EFT is you have your karate chop point of your hand. It's where your pinky is. And down below where it's a little bit softer of the spot is where you're going to focus in on. And it doesn't matter what hand you use. You just pick one. And you use just a couple of fingers and you'll tap gently on that spot. Then you're going to come to where your eyebrow is at. And you can see on the diagram I have on the screen. It's kind of where your nose and your eye starts. Now these points are actually real points with energy. There's something called a galvanometer that can measure the exact point, but since we don't all carry one of those in our pockets, if you use a couple of fingers on those points, you'll hit it. And so that's why we do 2 or 3 fingers. And then you go to the side of the eye, kind of where your bone is at, right at the end of your eyebrow. And then the next one is under your eye, where your bone is at. And again, it doesn't matter what side. Some people prefer to do both. You can switch partway through, it doesn't matter. Then you're going to have under your nose, in the crease of your chin. And then you have your collarbone here, just below it where it's a little bit softer are the points. These are also known as your sore points. And so if you can do nothing else, if you even just rub those points, and some of you probably naturally do this already. These are just naturally calming points. And then under your arm where like a tank top or bra strap would be at, and then the top of your head, more towards the back, towards that soft point. So those are the 9 points that we'll be tapping on. Does anyone have any questions on that part of it? You all understand? All right. So then what you do next is you create whatever it is that you need to work on. So this is where the fun part, in a sense, gets to come from, of tapping on the negative, because that is where your truth is. The point of being that you can't clean your house until you see the dirt, right? Like when you go to clean out that messy closet, you have to take all of that stuff out before you can put it back neatly. And so this gives you the opportunity to really be honest with yourself, and it can get pretty deep pretty quickly. Usually you do it on a one-on-one basis with somebody. You can do it as a group, which is how we're going to do it. It works best with your own personal words, but we'll use some generic ones today. So you'll focus on what's called your most pressing issue. So say for example that you just got a serious new diagnosis of something. And that's really what has you worked up. And so it's going to be, first you check in with yourself and you ask yourself, where am I feeling whatever it is that I'm feeling? You know, for some people, it's maybe a nervous energy that you kind of have going throughout your body. Some people, it's a knot in their throat. It's a heaviness in their chest, around their shoulders. It's just an icky feeling in your stomach. If you're not feeling it, then you're not focusing on the right part of the issue. So then you need to go and you need to ask yourself some more questions. So the important part of this is where are you actually feeling it in your body? And once you figure out where that is, you're going to give it a number. And so 0 being you don't really feel it, which means you need to look someplace different for another part of the problem. or 10, it's really super intense. And then usually somebody falls in between, usually between like a 5 and a 7 is probably where most people fall into. And the only reason why you pick that number is for yourself, so that you can kind of judge how you're processing through this. You can do this with another person too, so you can do this with your child, you can do this with any of the other caregivers that you're with, your spouse. Once you do that, you're going to create what's called a setup statement, and that's this karate chop part of your hand. And this is the only part of your hand that you only do this once. And the setup statement is going to be, so even though I'm really upset about this new diagnosis and I feel it in my gut, I accept myself and how I feel. So you always start with even though, no matter what the problem is. And then you're going to end it with, I accept myself and how I feel, or it's over and I'm safe now, or I accept and forgive myself. And the reason you're doing that is you're telling yourself, even though I have this problem, and it's real and it's happening, I'm okay, I'm not about to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger right now. And when you're tapping on it, that's what's happening. Because your body is feeling this is your reality right now. But when you're tapping on these points, it's sending calming signals to your brain saying you don't need to be in fight, flight, or freeze right now. So for those of you who don't maybe understand how the brain works, if you look at your fist as your brain, this being your brain stem, and then this part being your frontal cortex, the part of your brain that does all of its thinking, all of the good, clear thoughts, what you know is right or wrong. This is how your brain should normally work. When you get really stressed or you're in chronic stress, you flip your lid. And when you flip your lid, under here is your amygdala or your limbic part of your brain. This is your fight, flight, or freeze part of your brain. These two parts of your brain cannot function together at the same time. That's why when you're stressed, you can't think and remember things straight. Because this part of your brain is telling you, I'm going to remove you from this pain, I'm going to protect you, and it's sending the blood flow from your brain, and it's telling you everything, go to your extremities, I'm going to save your life, I'm going to make you run. And there's no blood left in your brain for you to make those good thoughts. But when you're tapping on your hand, you're giving it this message, and now you're saying these words because we learned how important words are. I'm safe. I'm feeling this way, but I'm safe. Please don't shut down on me now. Keep sending the blood to my brain so that I can handle this. So that's where that part comes from. And then all of these other points are reminders to your brain, and you're going to say all these reminder phrases. And these reminder phrases, you can say the exact same thing the whole time if you want. It can just be, this stinks, or it can just, my stomach hurts, my stomach hurts. Or you can say all the things that you want to say of, this is awful. I can't believe this is happening again. I do not want to go through this again. How am I going to tell my child that this is about to happen? Whatever it is, it's going in your mind, you're going to say it out loud and you're going to talk about it. And it's not a time for you to make excuses. It's not about, I should know better, or we did this before. Don't comfort yourself, because in reality, you're not feeling comforted right now. You're in stress. So be real and be honest with yourself. And you're going to tap through all those points. And there will be a moment in it where you're going to catch your breath. You're going to feel yourself just change. And sometimes people will laugh. Sometimes you'll start crying. Sometimes you will actually get more stressed before you calm back down. And if you do, you just keep going. But you'll check back in with yourself and you'll see that, oh, my numbers decreased. And sometimes if you try to get the number to 0, or at least 1, sometimes if it's a little bit left over, there's a remaining part, you tap on that, but I'll show you how we do that. So does everybody understand that part? And then we'll go through and we'll explain, or we'll try it and see how it works. So I did 3 scripts that I'll have up here, but I kind of wanted to know what people maybe wanted to work on. And so the choices I have are where we take what would be like kind of a normal worry and we make it into a catastrophe in our mind. Something like that. Like for me, it just happened recently where I went to a doctor for what I thought was a normal visit, and during the visit was told I needed to have a biopsy, needed to have it right then and there, and next thing I know, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have cancer again. So I took it from you just need to do this little test to, I've got cancer, right? I turned my worry into a catastrophe. And so that's what this script would be about. Or it's just general overwhelm and stress. Right now, your body is just all over the place and we just want to calm things down. Or the last one is quieting the critical voice, because as caregivers, we often have a lot of thoughts going on in our heads that we're not very nice to ourselves, where we tell ourselves we're not doing a good job or we're not enough, and we need to work on that voice. So I don't know if maybe somebody, if you want to show by maybe using fingers, 1, 2, or 3, or I guess typing it into the chat, and then Mike, and you could tell me what people type, or. So what do we got? Mike, can you see what people, what they've typed in, and let me know? But you're on mute, you gotta unmute yourself.
So, or yes, you can unmute yourself and speak as well. I believe Geneva said doing email 6 over 6.
Doing which one?
Doing email.
Doing email?
Or yes, maybe she can.
What do you mean by doing email?
Well, see, I've been a caregiver for like over 20 years, and I work a lot on stress with myself and other techniques, and I've just come to the conclusion that I have a really hard time sitting down and getting through my email because so often complex tasks and difficult things come through email. So I wanted to use this as a test of how I can get myself to do my email without having total avoidance freak out.
We can do it. I don't have a script written for it, so it'll be a little harder for people to follow along, but if everybody's up for that, we can make it up as we go along.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was going to be the example for everybody, but maybe someone else should pick a different example.
Well, how about just stress and overwhelm then? Because you can fill in the mental blank for yourself of the stress and overwhelm around my emails. Does that make good sense? So let me get to this one here. All right. And I'll kind of help you with that as we go along with this. So if everybody wants to join in, you pull out your hands and see you have your tools. So you have everything you need to do this. So we start with the karate chop point. I'll say it and then you can repeat after me. So you'll say, even though, repeat that, even though I'm feeling the stress and overwhelm in my body. And I guess, let me pause for it, sorry, a second. Everybody feel this in their body, right? Let's start with that first, of just the idea of feeling stress and overwhelm in your body. Think about where you feel it, and then give it its number so that we can kind of measure what it's like. And if anybody wants to write that into the chat so you can kind of share with each other, that is good too. So what we'll do is I'll leave little blanks for you to fill it in for yourself of what you're doing. So we'll come back to the hand. Even though I'm feeling all this stress and overwhelm, and I feel it, fill in the blank, and I feel it around answering my emails, and I feel it around the mail piling up in my house, I accept how I feel and I'm okay. And we're gonna do this 2 more times. Even though I am feeling the stress and overwhelm, and I feel it wherever, I accept how I feel and I'm okay. I'm gonna do it 1 more time. Even though I'm feeling all this stress and overwhelm, I feel my emails are out of control. The information in the emails is really hard to read. I accept it all and I'm okay. So now we do the reminder phrases, and we come to the first point here in the eyebrow. We say, all this stress in my life. Come to the side of the eye. All this stress in my body. Under the eye. It's always there. Under the nose, there is no way for me to relax. Move my pictures here. Sorry, under the mouth, there's so much on my plate. Collarbone. All this stress in my body. under the arm, all this tightness in my body. Top of the head, sometimes everything hurts so much. Keep going here, it's gonna change the page. Back to the eyebrow, all this stress, and you can fill in all this stress around my email. Side of the eye, this feeling of overwhelm, around my emails. Under the eye, I have been fighting them for so long, or I've been dealing with it for so long. Under the nose, I don't know any other way. Under the mouth, I just keep moving. The collarbone, I just keep busy. Under the arm, I don't have time to stop. Top of the head, I want so badly to stop. We're gonna keep going. And when you say these phrases, say them with emotion, say them with some exaggeration to them, because that will help to get that message to your body. So then back to the eyebrow. I'm not sure I know how to stop. Side of the eye. Sometimes I hide behind my busyness. Under the eye. If I have an honest conversation with myself. Under the nose. And allow myself to look at my feelings of overwhelm. Under the mouth, I'm scared of what I might find. The collarbone. I have been moving at this pace for so long. Under the arm, I don't know any other way. Top of the head, I might not even recognize myself. Keep going. Eyebrow, maybe I'm just scared. Side of the eye, I'm scared I can't get everything done. Under the eye, I'm scared I'll make a mistake. Under the nose, I'll look like I don't care. Under the mouth, I really just want to scream sometimes. The collarbone, a part of me believes I can't relax. Under the arm, until everything is fixed and running on my terms. Top of the head, I need to be in control. Back to the eyebrow. All of this stress and overwhelm, it isn't helping me be in control on the side of the eye. Under the eye, it's making me feel even more out of control. Under the nose, I'm so tired. Under the mouth, I want to be open for a new way of dealing with stress. Collarbone, even though I don't have all the answers. Under the arm, even though everything isn't fixed and completed yet. Top of the head, I give myself permission to breathe and relax. One more. Back to the eyebrow. Even though I want many things to change, side of the eye, I give myself permission to relax now. Under the eye, I recognize the pressure I've been putting myself under. Under the nose, and I give myself permission to let it go. In the mouth, I can desire more and still relax. Collarbone, it is safe for me to let go and trust myself. Under the arm, I'm allowed to make mistakes. Top of the head, I allow my mind and body to relax and breathe in peace. Now pause for a second and take in that nice deep breath in through your nose, and out through your mouth. And then check in with yourself and see how that makes you feel and what comes up for you. Does anybody want to share? Maybe unmute yourself and tell me how you might be feeling. And
oh yeah, I can. I'm like a crying mess, so I'm not turning my video on.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done this before, but damn, I was like crying like 3 seconds into it. So I felt like it felt heavy in my chest at first, where that's where I carry everything. Like I feel like someone's sitting on my chest. and I can't get a deep breath. So other like SE work I've done and like Reiki stuff, I'll always end up coughing at the end, and like that, like my body's like catching its breath again, and that's how I know that I've shifted. And towards the end of this, I started coughing and burping. That's like
Burping is a big thing for people.
Burping, yeah, coughing and burping. And I know that from I didn't know what was going to happen here, but, and that, then the like pressure relieves, because I'm trying to like cough, like get my actual, not even a physical breath. Like it's like your body, your lungs are my diaphragm relaxes, everything relaxes. And then I get cold. My toes and my fingers got cold. Always get super cold at the end of some of this stuff. And it happened here too. But I love this. I didn't know about this technique.
So do you feel that you've come down in your number enough? Do you feel like you need to work through it a little bit more?
No, I feel like I've come down. Like, I definitely feel like I've come down.
Okay, so I don't want to leave you in a bad place. So let me share with everybody what you can do. So say, she's crying and she's still maybe got a little bit of it left. You can actually you just do one more round of just saying, this remaining stress, these tears are a good release for me. I needed this remaining stress, this remaining feeling of overwhelm, choosing to let that go too. I can handle what's coming next, and I'm choosing to be calm right now. So that's one of the ways that you can kind of help to end yourself, to get it back down, all the way down. For some people, if it came up for some reason and say, like now I need to end this, we have to go. You can be okay with that and tell yourself that. And you do a round of tapping where you're like, this is a huge issue. I didn't realize how upset this was going to make me. I wasn't expecting to cry about this. I'm going to choose to put this away for just right now. And I'll revisit it when I'm ready, when I have more time. Whatever it is that you need to tell yourself to bring your body back down. It's safe to put this on pause right now. I can put this on pause and come back to it. So say you're in the middle of a crisis, maybe you're even in the hospital room and something's happening and a doctor walks in and you can't finish the tapping, that you can quickly finish and just tell yourself you'll come back to it when you can.
So I've been doing, I love this. I'm going to use this. Can you actually is there a way we can access these slides? Because there's so many, these are such practical steps. I've been trying to take pictures while we're going through, but then when we were doing the exercise, I was just focusing on that. But can North Star Reach or you share the slides with conference participants?
You can, this is being recorded, right? So they.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so I think however they're going to share the recordings, you'll have this. You won't actually have you'll have this slide because I didn't show the other ones. But I have, let me go to the end here really quick. Yeah, so here's all my emails. So my email is the imwellreiki.com if you have questions specifically. And the tappingsolution.com, the EFTuniverse.com, those are two that you can go to. Those, like I said, those are trustworthy ones. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube, but I think if you really want the ones that are the most helpful, and actually the tappingsolution.com has an app. It's called the tapping app. And they have some free ones, or you can pay for like a yearly subscription, and it has like, you name it. There's tapping on COVID, there's tapping on, I don't know, you name it, eating disorders, of whatever else you need help with, it's all on there, back pain, shoulder pain, whatever. It's a really helpful tool to have. So, and then there's my phone number too, and my email address. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help. So, does anyone else have any other questions? Or I think, if I'm right, Mike, we're close to time, right? Yeah. Melinda, did you have a question?
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you. I've done this before, and I've also used a technique where I put the breathing technique where I put the tip of my tongue on the roof of your mouth. And that really helps also build the endorphins up. I just wanted to thank you. You're fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. You know, this is something too, you can all start your day off this way. Like, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Like, if you just keep emptying your stress out little by little, the big stresses don't end up happening. You're not triggered as easily. So if you even just start your day with something of, you know, even though I don't know what today is gonna bring, I am strong and I am ready to take it on. And that's your even though statements. And then it's just, I don't know what today is gonna bring. It might be a hard day. It might not be. But I'm gonna be ready for it. I'm ready for whatever comes my way today. I'm gonna remember to tap. I'm gonna remember to breathe. I'm gonna remember whatever it is that you need to do. And just, if you just did nothing but that one round that took all of 30 seconds, and it gets you ready for whatever it is. If you're gonna walk into a room with something, before you walk into that room, one quick round of whatever it is you need to save yourself, give yourself the pep talk while tapping on yourself. So, well, thank you, appreciate it, and glad I could share it with everybody.
And I want to tell you that she's changed my life by doing this and my children's lives. So I really think we should do it.
Stop sharing my screen here. There we go. I guess we're good.
Yes, thank you so much, Danielle, for showing us all those very useful, handy tricks and tips on how to manage our stress and to do that in a way where we can do it basically anywhere, whether it's like driving your car at a stoplight or going grocery shopping or being at a bank or, you know, just taking a walk, like wherever those pieces of moments where you have that or you're trying to prepare for, you now have all these resources, which is really great. You're more than welcome to stay and either continue to chat with yourselves or chat with Danielle. What will happen at around 1:50 is a screen will pop up and then you'll have an option to leave the breakout room and go to the main room where we will then transition into the next set of breakout sessions for at the 2 o'clock start time. But yes, thank you once again, Danielle, for such a great session. And we will be having these recordings ready to go by, I believe, next week. And then I can also look into actually, if we're gonna do slides and stuff, but that information from what Danielle showed is all being recorded and it's still being recorded right now. But yeah, we want to continue to have these resources be available for you right now, but then to also be able to carry on throughout our time in life.
All right. Well, if there's any other questions while we're waiting to leave the room, let me know. I'll hang out for a second.
I'll share. So my daughter, when she was 11, she's Marianne Fithian's daughter's best friend. And she was having all these symptoms of an autoimmune disorder. And so our pediatrician finally said, these are secondary symptoms. You should probably go and see like a alternative medicine doctor, and actually recommended that. Well, it just so happened I have Danielle here. And so Addie, my daughter, tapped with Danielle. And in an hour and a half, we learned more about my daughter than we had in the entire 11 years prior to that. And she let so much spill out of her. And it was almost like she went to a different dimension. And the more she did it, and the more we collectively shared our energies doing it, it was unbelievable what kind of stress she released. And to this day, and now she's 14 and a half, she still asks when she can tap with Danielle because it was so life altering for her. So keep Danielle's contact information, because if you ever get to the point where you can't do it on your own for whatever, blockage, Danielle is a fantastic resource to use.
Thank you.
You're welcome.